This DJ's so funky, man.
Prepare for launch. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
This is the RDDC podcast.
You are now tuning in to Lex and RDDC broadcast station, serving up on the double doses for us all.
Welcome to the Real Double Dose channel. This is your host Lex, coming to you straight from the heart, where the talk is real and the vibe is always live. I'm glad to be here with you today because on this show, this is where we have a bite of everyday life and a slice of everyday life. For any questions, show requests, or feedback, as always, you can reach us at Real Double Dose Channel at yandex.com. That's yandex.com. And you can leave all your inquiries that you have been doing or any other things you want to just bring forth or need help with, or coaching sessions, and or just a shout out that you want to put on the show, or links. And you can check out our blog spot at realdoubledosechannel.blogspot.com. That's realdoubledosechannel.blogspot.com. And there are many feedbacks and different things you can just check out on there, from the links to the bottom of our book page and so much more. Just different things that we have going on. And just check out. It's a whole array of so many things that we can't even get started on. And our wonderful YouTube channel is on its way to being birthed. So we hope to see you over there. If not, we'll have different communities for our iTunes groups. We'll have our SoundCloud groups. We'll have our TuneIn groups, Stitcher Radio groups, and YouTube. But you're a part of it all, no matter what you do or what you say. We're happy that you came our way. And I got a little bit of a little juiciness to be able to have a conversation with you today, and I'm trying to figure out, is this the reason why these inquiries have been coming on? A lot of it has to do with relationship topics, and that's where I think a lot of heavy hitting is going to be on that. But a lot of people might stray away from this kind of conversation, and others might also just think it's pure,
awesome.
So, you never know how it's going to go. But without further ado, let's get this party started, shall we? All right. So, anyways, back to where we were. Thank you, Anthony, with your little sound effects. We've missed those for a while. It's been heavy. Let's get back to what we do best. Now, this is, everything under the sun. And it's basically when I don't really call myself a motivational speaker, inspirational speaker. I'm a thought leader on my own, okay? A thought goddess, the thought goddess. Not THOT, but THOUGHT. Let's just get that one correctly. But this one comes from Callie, our friend Callie. And, of course, she is from wonderful San Antonio, Texas. Callie, shout out to you. Thank you. We are happy that you had a question. And this right here, I had to actually ask a couple of my friends, even my dentist appointment, my dentist, wonderful dentist, and Mrs. Flowers from the garden, I call her. But she's a wonderful dentist, and I had to ask her and her assistant. And I actually asked about 7 more ladies, just randomly doing topics and conversations, and it was mixed reviews. But this is from Callie from San Antonio, Texas. And her question for Real Double Dose Channel and Lex and the family ends out there. You can leave your comments, or if you like to, on the blog, or just keep them to yourself, or save them for YouTube, or leave them at whatever link you're listening to this at, or streaming, or just a question for yourself to bring up with your loved ones or your friends. Even to yourself. The best conversation you'll have is with you. So it is should or trust. It's hashtag. This episode is called Trust Issues 1. Okay, hashtag Trust Issues Part 1. We're gonna hit this in all kinds of references, but trust issues. For – basically her question. Let me just get to this. I'm getting all around in circles and frazzled. she has a relationship. Her question is it okay for your partner to have access to your phone log or your numbers and your contacts or your names? And that's a very, very valid question, because it has a lot to do with truth or an untruth. Now, this might be a quicker subject or a longer one. Me personally, it's a put it this way: the old person that lived within me, that still sneaks up sometimes, wouldn't care about looking at the other person's phone if I had my own business going on, to where I wouldn't want them looking in mine, or I just didn't care enough to do so, or it just didn't bother me, right? But my nature, being that I am in that naturehood of I won't blame it on zodiac signs, okay? We're not going to get into all that. I don't do that star reading, but I do get the names of what the zodiac could be. And that's why, the creator created all these things for us to discover and know. But I'm a very dominant, in a female way, very alpha female, but still in my femininity and know my levels of where I should and shouldn't go. I dominate, and that is alpha male is the only one that can actually handle being in a relationship with me. Not that I'm overbearing, or not that I feel that I am, at least, but it's the whole point of I'm transparent. If you claim to be transparent while we're together, then it shouldn't be a problem. For me, if a person is saying, I want you to be completely truthful, okay, I want every page from your book, or looking, and you're open. Now it could be to the point where, you're just openly transparent, and they're like, well, that's on you decided to be transparent. Okay, we get it, but still there's two sides to that again, because one, if you weren't as transparent, maybe the relationship would have never took off, or that person would have never been able to discover how wonderful you are. You would have never got a chance to meet each other. Okay, blessing or curse, we don't know. And then the other hand, it's like, that's who you were and that's who they got with, so they appreciated that about you somehow or some way, because if they didn't, they would be like, well, it bothers me, Callie, for example, that you are so transparent, and I'm with a person that's transparent, because down the line I might not want to be transparent. Now it doesn't mean that sometimes this is a triple, quadruple bladed sword, because sometimes we expect the person to be as transparent as we are, because we can't actually fathom being with a person like, wow, this person really isn't as open as I thought they were, as really trustworthy, not to the point where they're telling you what they ate and what happened later on from getting an upset stomach. That's some levels of transparency you just don't need to touch, and if you feel comfortable enough, fine. But ultimately, if it's in my opinion, I believe that if you're open and honest, and a person says and swears they love loyal people, or they trust people, or they completely trust you, you've given them every reason to. Okay, in some way they say, I completely trust you. You've given them that. You've proven that. But if you tell someone, I cannot fully trust you, it means there's some kind of reason. At least have a hard fact, not just from the past itself of other relationships, but maybe something that they did, or something that you found out about, or something that you know or knew, that you need that extra barrier of trust. And at the same time, that's a lot of clarity if you think about it. Break that down in your head. So at the same time, when you look at that, it's just, if the person, and I'm taking this from a page from my book, because I feel these are issues that I'm dealing with in my life in some shape, way, or form, and I'm trying to be able to be open with someone that you love, or you're going to spend the rest of your life with. But if this is a person that you want to endeavor the future with, and claims or proclaims that they're going to endeavor the whole future with you until death do you part, or at least a serious candidate that's moving in with you and saying that their life is surrounded around you and affecting your life in a direct course to where they're around your children or your family, you have to take heed, and you have to open your eyes and see exactly what the transparency needs to be, especially when it comes down to you letting them in your inner circle, period. No excuses whatsoever. I don't care if you have kids with a person or not. Point is whatever you allow a person to do is whatever level you set yourself up at. Whatever you allow to keep going on and continue to go through, yes, it might be a reoccurrence of just going through psychological issues or emotional issues, but whatever it is, if you feel that it's not right, seek help. Seek help to get away from that situation in a proper manner. Reach out to someone that you can at least trust, or call something, and anything. You always dial the emergency number 911 if you feel like it's going that crazy, okay? You have to. But I'm saying that to each their own. I'm not going to go off the Richter scales, but in the news these days and the things happening, the things that I hear about going on just in people's lives in general, you got to take measures on, understanding that. And obviously, if Callie, specifically you right now, and anybody else is touching, don't allow them to have complete access to what's going on in your, quote, inner life. I feel in this philosophy, I'll say that. You can either allow them to have access to you because you're just a transparent person, you have nothing to hide, and they always know what's going on with you, and yet you don't know anything going on with them, which to me is not fair whatsoever. Unless you knew the person was going to be like that before you even got to the second or third date. If they let you know, hey, look, Callie, I really like you. I hope we can continue a relationship. But even further down the line, I don't want to share my passcode with you, and I'm not open with you looking through my numbers or anything. People need to establish boundaries when they get together. Simple as that. Let a person know where you stand from the get-go, because you don't need to even go on that second date or third date, or even let's put it this way, at least the fourth date, okay? Let alone even try to give yourself or expect some kind of passionate night and a perfect future for the next 17 years after eating, Italian with the guy for 30 minutes. And it's just everything so discombobulated and rushed. Let a person know where you stand from the get-go. It's kind of like Steve Harvey's book, Think Like a Man and Act Like a Lady, or Act Like a Lady and Think Like a Man. One of those titles. I got it. It was a really great book, and it gives some good insight. I read that about maybe 4 years ago, I think, and when I was down in my California journeys. It's a policy a person has to hold with you. They have to be willing to be all these things within themselves before they can set up any tone, and it's a 90-day policy. It's the same retrospect. We're bouncing around here, but it all makes sense, cohesively. Even if you had to replay this again, it makes sense. People want to say, one of my friends, I hope they're not listening, but, I love her so much, and she's such a sweet person. But, and for me, I respect her because she owns up to what she is, and that's having a party good time. And at the same time, the guys know what they're getting into as well. But if you're looking for a husband type guy, you don't typically go out at 2 a.m. drinking. You never know. Anything could happen. But you don't typically go out looking for a man where he's just looking for something that's a one-night stand. Or even a 17th night stand. Because if a person can't know or what they're about or what they're defining, what they're looking for, then obviously you can't either if you're looking in the same blind direction. So, bouncing back to this is, if you're further ahead in your relationship and a person says, well, such and such, I love you and I really want to be with you, but this is something I have to be able to have access to. You can change it after I look at the passcode, but if I need to look at your phone to see who's in it or who's calling you, if we're going to share and break bread together, if we're going to share life together, if we're going to have things together, that's together, that's one, especially in a marriage. And in this case, you are married, Callie. And for a marriage, you are one. You are one unity. So if you walked into that not even knowing or knowing of it now, you have every right to know what's going on with the whole of you. It's not insecurity. A person shouldn't have to be subjected to, oh, you're insecure or you're paranoid. No, it's different if you're looking through every single name and calling every single number like, who the heck are you? And what are you doing? Okay, well, sorry, ma'am, you called me. I'm the secretary. Or sorry, I'm over here. But, it's different if every person you call seems to be a female at a restaurant or a barista. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't know. I'm free-handing this mic once again, so it could be in and out. It is a very cool day, and I got the fan breezing through on my little studio here. So if you hear anything, it's free-handed, real slice, real double dose channel. That's the name. So I just want to excuse that if you do. I'm looking at the monitors, and it's kind of going up and down with whatever's going on. So I'm like, I don't know if it's too loud, but this is a raw cut, raw form. But all I have to say to that is if you're one, there should not be two. That's all. And it doesn't have to be another one. It could be, a person's, it could be male or female that she's addicted to some kind of porn site, or she looked up something that had to do with insecurity or his insecurity, and they just don't want you looking at it in their phone, or there's something referencing to why they feel that way. If they are saying that they love you enough to be in a relationship with you enough to trust you enough and give you enough trust, and they trust you completely, then they should be able to do the same thing back for you. That's what I will leave it at. You know what I mean? At the same time, I understand privacy, and I take it very important because that's something I love. And we all enjoy our privacy to a good standpoint. But if you're in a unity and a bond and a strength to someone that understands what level of love you're at, there should be nothing in the world, in this universe, to stop that person from allowing you to see what you need to see to be free. There should be nothing at all to let a person say, you know what, look, I don't feel this type of way. That means they're too selfish and into themselves. And I feel like I've given enough of my friendship, not more than financial, more than I feel like I know that I've given enough, and I don't even get barely anything back when it even comes to a half of a conversation. And that's what's sad. I don't try to count it, I just feel it. So my words to you and our words to you, Tony, Angie, all of us, we had some kind of words to give to this, Angela, is you have to do what's right for you. The conclusion is, you don't necessarily give them an ultimatum, but let them know, hey, these are the terms and conditions of what I need to feel better. Now, it is what it is. It's a reasonable time for you to display these things to me or show me, or let me go through them. You put the passcode in and let me just look at it myself. Just let me check it out. It could be right there in front of you. Just give me 5 minutes just to be able to feel relieved within that point. The whole point is if they love you enough and they trust you enough and they know that you need that same thing within them, there should be no problem. There should be no hiccups or no hesitation. And if there is, they should be man or woman enough to talk to you about what that is and how can you resolve it. And maybe it's something that needs to be resolved within you. But all I got to say is hashtag trust issues part 1. Okay. Couples privacy. Let's put it that way. So we can reference this out on our charts. We'll go back at this, but I love that question, Callie. I hope this brought you some clarity. Again, you can check us out at Real Double Dose channel at yandex.com like you did with this wonderful question and some of the feedback we've given to you already, and we'll follow up with you about it. And if you have another question about it or whatever it is, have your partner listening to it and tell them, hey, I will directly talk to him on the phone if he wants some clarity with me and you there, because the truth is, it's neutral, but then it's not. There's a lot of wavering with that, but at the same time, a person has nothing to hide. There literally should be nothing to hide. That's all there is to it. So once again, thank you for listening in. This has been a quote couples therapy with RDDC. Many, it's a slice of life, but at this time we got hashtag trust issues part 1, couples privacy. Okay. And we'll just continue on. We'll have a part 2 in there if you want to have some more questions. We probably got about a couple hundred more in there. We're trying to get them all laid out to which should be out here directly for these channels and directly for the show itself. We might just do a double there and get it up there. But we thank you for listening in. This has been a wonderful journey. Be the change, feel the passion, and embrace the power of the spirit. We're going to be rocking with some more, and hopefully this summer will be a banging time for all of us to get up there in our self-development, our growth, our spirituality, our mentality, our emotional levels, and be the success of everything that embodies who we are and those who are affected around us. So we thank you for being a part of this, your support, your love, and your listening ears. 1 equals 1 million. If there's one person listening, we've already did our goal to 1 million. So yeah, just check it out. Hang out. Tune in and be there, and we'll be there with you as always, RDDC families, and we'll be back with you soon.